Now, today is World Water Day, and the United Nations is highlighting the critical role that water plays in food security. The demand for water is growing along with the global population. As VOA's Steve Baragona reports, water supplies are already under severe strain in many parts of the world.
Water. As the population grows, there are more and more people at the tap every day. But when it comes to the world's demand for water, drinking it is just the beginning, according to the head of water programs at the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, Pasquale Steduto.
Food and agriculture, in particular, is by far the largest user of water.
Agriculture accounts for 70% of the water drawn from rivers and aquifers worldwide. So, while each person drinks about 2 to 3 liters of water per day, it takes roughly 200 liters to produce that person's daily diet of maize. Bread takes 270 liters, rice 420, and the meat to go with it takes even more water. Pork, 930 liters for a day's serving. Lamb, 1,400. And beef is the thirstiest of all, 2,400 liters. And the demand for water is growing along with the demand for food, Steduto says.
We are expecting another 2 billion, if not more, people coming in the next 40 years. We are already in a situation of water scarce conditions.
Water is scarce in some places because farmers are pumping it out of the ground faster than it can recharge, according to the head of water policy for the U.S. State Department, Aaron Salzberg.
So if you look at India, for example, and the breadbasket up in the northwestern part of the country, over-extraction is a huge, huge issue, and this is going to start to play a role in their ability to produce food and to meet their internal needs.
Over-extracting groundwater for irrigation is also a huge issue in major farming regions of China, the United States, and elsewhere. On the other hand, much of sub-Saharan Africa has the opposite problem, not enough irrigation. Most African farmers depend on rainfall, which is becoming less reliable with climate change, says Pasquale Steduto.
So this rainfalls is not being predictable, put the land at higher risk. So we cannot predict or anticipate how much food really we are going to produce.
Producing more food for more people with less water in the coming years will be a challenge. But there are solutions. Low-tech treadle pumps for farmers who need irrigation, drip irrigation for farmers who need to squeeze more crop per drop, and eating less meat in countries that already overconsume it, just to name a few.
And we know how to do it. We needed to make this into practice. So from that side that we have a solution, I'm optimistic.
But making changes takes time, and Steduto is less optimistic about the pace of change. So is the State Department's Aaron Salzberg.
I think it's the lack of political will, the fact that governments just haven't made the decision to make this a priority.
But experts say making that decision may no longer be up to those governments, as climate change threatens water supplies already stressed by a growing population. Steve Baragona, VOA News, Washington.
A recent United Nations report says the world body has met the Millennium Development Goal to reduce the proportion of people with no safe drinking water by 50%, well ahead of the 2015 deadline. More than 2 billion people have now gained access to better drinking water. This means they get their water from piped supplies or protected wells. While many are celebrating this achievement, 783 million people are still without access to improved sources of water to drink. More than half of them live in sub-Saharan Africa. Take the residents of Ndeye in Limuru, central Kenya, just 50 kilometers west of the capital, Nairobi. Their search for clean water is a daily struggle that comes with its share of frustration. Their primary source of drinking water is a borehole in Kiriri village, which also serves as a watering point for their animals. But the residents say availability of the precious commodity is erratic, and at times they don't even have access to the borehole.
It can close for 3 to 4 days or even a week. They don't care.
At Ngoirobi, also in Ndeye, the constant search for water is evident everywhere. A borehole at the local church is among several commissioned in the area over the last 5 years, and it's making a huge difference in the lives of these residents. Vincent comes from a neighboring village 8 kilometers away.
It's helping people. It's never run out of water for the last 5 years. The church opens it every day.
Improved sources of drinking water does not necessarily mean safe water, according to the UN report. While it's likely the number of people accessing improved water sources has greatly increased, the number of those using safe water supplies has probably been exaggerated. To ensure water is completely safe, it has to be tested for microbial and chemical quality, a process that is very expensive and logistically complicated for many African governments. For the MDG monitoring purposes, the focus was on the proportion of the population using improved water sources rather than safe water. An ongoing initiative at Stellenbosch University in South Africa might lend hope to the millions still without safe drinking water. Scientists there have created a tea bag filter using tiny nanofibers packed together into a tea bag-like sac that filters microbic bacteria. They claim the tea bag can clean even the dirtiest water, making it a perfect solution for populations around the world without access to clean water. Water expert Professor Eugene Cloete heads the project.
I think the most important difference that the filter will make is that it will remove bacteria from the water. The bacteria is a big problem. Cholera is a big problem in Africa, and this filter will eradicate cholera, basically.
Through a process called electrospinning, the team used advanced nanotechnology to construct the tea bag, which is then filled with activated carbon, giving it the ability to kill bacteria in water. The scientists say the tea bag is affordable and easy to use.
They would literally take the filter, they would go to a river, they would scoop up the water from the river. They would insert the filter in the bottle, in a special cartridge that we are busy prototyping, and they would drink the water. It is as simple as that.
The scientists also say they are redesigning the filter, so eventually it might not even look like the original tea bag filter. The current cost of the filter is 3 cents, but scientists say their aim is to make it even cheaper, so many more people will be able to afford the technology. Well, joining us on the phone from Stellenbosch University, South Africa, is Professor Eugene Cloete of Stellenbosch University and lead researcher of the tea bag filter project. Professor, welcome to In Focus.
Hi, thank you very much. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. It looks like a really cool idea. Tell us, what is the progress with the tea bag filter, and when is it likely to be for public use?
Yeah, right now we are busy with the commercialization of the filters, so we have set up a pilot plant where we can manufacture these filters at scale, and the idea would be to roll out this technology over the next 6 months. The idea would also be initially to make this available to people that are in need of clean water, so we won't necessarily see these filters on the shelf in supermarkets, but we will see them go through aid agencies and also through municipalities, especially in the sub-Saharan Africa to start with, where these filters will be provided to people that need clean water.
Yeah.
Free of charge.
Okay. Now, Professor, some will say, how practical is this tea bag filter, given that it has to be fitted onto a bottle, which, in other words, means every member of the family has to own a water bottle to have clean water?
Yeah, that is correct. There are a lot of water bottles, of course, or other bottles that are available. The idea that we have in the developing of the cartridge would be that it would fit onto most bottles with a neck diameter of about 32 millimeters, which is the most common diameter of water bottles that are sold or that are available in sub-Saharan Africa. So the prerequisite would be that you actually need a bottle, and then you need the cartridge, and then after that you just need the filters that you would then put into the cartridge.
Yes. Professor Cloete, you know, generally, especially when you're talking about the masses, people need large amounts of water for many things, for domestic use, washing their vegetables, their fruits, utensils. How can this particular technology help in that kind of a situation?
Yeah, you what we are doing right as we speak. We started off with this project to develop filters that would actually be used on an industrial scale. It's just through my experience and being, exposed to people that need point-of-use treatment that we, in fact, thought about and then designed this filter, which will clean 1 liter of water at a time. We are busy at the moment upscaling the filters so that you would be able to clean up to 1,000 liters of water with one filter. Because of the fact that some people have access to rainwater harvesting or other water sources, which of course don't come in 1 liter containers, but larger quantities.
Well, Professor Cloete, we do appreciate your insight very much.
Yeah, no, you're more than welcome.
Okay, Professor Eugene Cloete of Stellenbosch University and lead researcher of the tea bag filter project. We want to thank him very much for joining us here today on In Focus.